Fellow Zimbabweans, hope you're well. Well, obviously, probably not under such circumstances, but my name is Brendan, and basically, I'm here to address a few issues about our Zimbabwean situation. I'm a Zimbabwean citizen, and I was born and bred. Love my country to bits, but unfortunately, I do not love our president. Yes, so the first issue that I would like to address today is the issue of the bond notes. I know a lot of people have been talking about the bond notes, and my take on that is that there will be bond notes will be death of Zimbabwe as we know it. Right, I'll tell you why. Um, Mr. John Mangunjwa, the governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. I have no idea why he would agree, to carry on such a devastating, or should I say, a life-threatening decision. I've always thought that he's a very respectful person who's really very knowledgeable, but obviously this is an appalling idea. It's a very, very appalling idea. Right, okay, I'll tell you why. It's because the bond notes, is apart from them being uh, a daylight robbery, as everyone has been talking about, they will create a massive hole into the market, and should I say the economy, that will never ever be filled again. um, I'll give you an example. For instance, if you for someone like me and you, who've been just working citizens and actually putting our money in our savings account, an average person could have saved maximum, maybe say 10,000 US dollars, right, which is sitting in the bank account, right, okay, which you can only withdraw like 50 US dollars a day, and you have to sleep outside the cash machine to do so anyway, right? So now the thing is, should I say, like multi-million dollar companies, or companies like Zoll, right, okay, who might have like hundreds and thousands of US dollars in the bank account, okay. So basically what will happen is, right, okay, as soon as these bond notes are introduced, they're going to substitute that hundreds of thousands of US dollars by paper. Right, okay. So basically, I don't think there's going to be any company in the right mind which will let that happen. Right, okay. Because there is no way I can have a thousand US dollars in my bank account, and only to find that I can only get it in paper. Right, okay. So companies have started already implementing measures in order to transfer or take their money from their accounts, either by using non-paper transactions, to actually empty their accounts and actually invest or actually save it in different countries. Right, okay. So what will happen now is, okay, as much as um John's idea is will work. It will actually kickstart the economy, but it's not gonna work for long term, right? Okay, a year from now, just a year from now, we'll be back into the same situation, and he will be printing some more bond notes. He will have to. He will have no choice but to print some more bond notes to actually inject some more cash into the economy. Now, our economy as we know it, 5 years from now, will be gone. It will be dead, right? It will be just saturated by paper, paper which is supposed allegedly have monetary value, and it will be worth nothing. If you've got 1 million US dollars right now, which is recognized internationally, as soon as the pesos are introduced, you have zero cent. When your books, or you make your accounting records, it's gonna be what, you'll be worth, I don't know, maybe 1 million bond note, which is zero. You're worth nothing. You're worth nothing. Right. Okay. So there's gonna be a lot of heartbreaking going on here. And my theory on all this is the government knows that this is going to happen, right? And they need to pay obviously civil servants, and they're running out of cash and all those problems. Um, for them, it's a way out, right? It will work obviously temporarily because all they have to do is print this paper money and just give it to the civil servants. Now they are the people that are going to inject the money into the public. The money will start circulating. Right. When the money starts circulating, okay, they need to pay some more next following month. They're gonna keep fitting the money, get it from the cash machines and everything. And before you know it, it will be too late. It will be too late because right, our economy will be flooded with this paper. Now the problem now with this is I'm under the impression, looking at what's going on in the streets of Harare and Bulawayo, around the country, I can see that ZANU-PF know that they are not going to be in power for a long time. Even through rigging, I don't think they will successfully rig 2018 election. Now, I'm not even sure if they want to actually be the rulers in 2018. Why? Because I really think that they've actually come to a point in time whereby they realize that they cannot fix the country. Now, the only way to fix Zimbabwe, the way I see it, is if Robert Mugabe steps down and a complete and totally regime change. Yeah, that's the only way. Unfortunately, as bad as it sounds, but that's the only way that will actually um, save and actually, when Zimbabwe will start making, progress. Uh, I'll tell you why. Because the only way to fix Zimbabwe is through serious international intervention. I think Zimbabwe has come to a point whereby it's come to a point of no return, basically. Yeah. So there's nothing that we can do ourselves by ourselves right now that will help us fix Zimbabwe back to its normal Zimbabwe that we knew, like, you know, eh, decades ago. There is no chance unless if we actually um, get help from international companies, and I'm talking about first world countries, like mostly Westerners, as our president call them. Now they are not going to help Mugabe. They will not. I mean, Mugabe he cannot see eye to eye with President Obama, yet he's actually using his currency. His currency, US dollar, is the one that bailed him up after after the hyperinflation. But he doesn't see eye to eye with that, with such president. Now, for Zimbabwe to rise again, we need very good trade deals with first world countries, countries that will create a change, right? Countries that will actually, build us up. That's what we need. But all those countries, if you say half of those countries, they're all in bad terms with our president. And why? It's through sanctions and personal vendettas. Okay, because the thing is, if you look at how Zimbabwe actually got sanctioned, and with sanctions, I know the limitations of those sanctions as well, and I'll explain later, during this video, the impact of those sanctions fully anyway. But the thing is, if you think about it and look at the sanctions clearly, right? Okay, you realize that it's not too much to ask, to be honest, because sanctions are, if a country, well, sanctions are usually imposed to a country in order for the external, or should I say international countries that don't have a hand in Zimbabwe. That's their only way that they can actually force a government to change its ways. Now, it could be through, it could be a change regarding, like, for instance, for Zimbabwe, it's poor human rights record. Okay, the way they treat its citizens. Now, that's not too much to ask. If someone says, "Look, you know what, I'm going to put sanctions to your country up until you start treating your people well," I mean, that's not too much to ask, to be honest. You say, "Look, stop beating your citizens. If you stop beating your citizens, and then I will lift the sanctions." Right, okay. And then if tell me, that's not too much to ask. It's not too much to ask, at all. But then in our case, there's quite several issues anyway. Apart from obviously the poor human rights records, we've got the white farmer invasion. Although I understand, I think it's appalling anyway. But although I understand the idea behind it, I just don't agree with the way it was done. This government, the ZANU PF, they are used to treating us in this way, right? Okay, whereby they just take what they want forcefully. Okay, they just bend the rules, change legislation, and just bend it to suit their needs, right? Okay, whenever they want to introduce something which is unconstitutional, they just change something to suit it, and then they go, right? Because basically what happened with the white farmer invasion, they literally took other people's possessions. I mean, they went to the farms and they kicked them away, and they, right, the best way, I should say, the less harsh way, which is still not right anyway, was at least if they offered the money to say, "Look, okay, this is your farm, this is your equipment, here is the money, could you please leave?" Something like that, we buy it from you. Okay, they give you the exact value. You can't just chase people away like that and stuff like that. Okay, those are the things that actually, it was, again, breaking people's human rights. And those are the things that actually got us into having sanctions, stuff like Operation Rambatswina, stuff like, the harassment of opposition activists, like refusing journalists to come into the country, the refusal of our president to fully implement the provision of the global political agreement, the GPA. These are the things that actually, that we're sanctioned for. It's not too much to ask to stop harassing, your opponents in your political campaign or political party, to stop beating your citizens. It's just not too much to ask, right? Okay, so these are the things that really, some of the things that actually caused. There's more obviously, but those are some of the things that actually made sanctions to be imposed, and most of them are actually directed to Mugabe and his actual government, to be honest, because if you can remember, George Bush, he signed a presidential order listing 77 individuals who were prohibited to conduct business with American citizens, and who their assets were frozen and blocked by the US, and the United European Union did the same thing, and that list actually was amended in 2005. They added 33 more entities and 128 people by the USA. So you can see that they have got a problem dealing with Robert Gabriel Mugabe. He's not allowed in America. He's not allowed to do business, right? Okay, but now the problem now with that is, if you think about the business world, it has changed massively recently, right? In a way that, if you look at countries like India, they use a lot of child labor, right? Okay, they use. Remember, if you remember the scandal where they used children to make FIFA World Cup footballs, right? Okay, so now, if you look at issues like that in America, if a company is associated with stuff like that, you go out of business. Companies don't really work with other companies that have got such scandals, right? Okay, so in case of Zimbabwe, not only is Mugabe suffering from actually, making us very good trade deals with countries like America. I mean, how can he, if he can't even go there? He's not in talking terms. You know, you know, um, Zimbabwe is still, dealing obviously with America, in terms of other companies that have got no direct influence, or should I say, yes, direct influence with the banned people. Okay, I was just saying the sanctioned people, but then again, there's a bit of they get caught up on the issue that they are from Zimbabwe anyway, right? Because they are from is a company which is from where Mugabe is from, and because of Mugabe's relationship with America and this whole trade deal, which is non-existent-ish anyway, it makes it hard, to secure financing in other companies. It makes it really, really extremely difficult. Okay, so even the IMF as well, as much as they had put sanctions in Zimbabwe, and apparently they did lift them. I don't know whether that's true, or it's just false news. I have no idea. But those are the people that actually help us. So really, in a way, you tend to realize, really, why John Mangunjwa, the governor of the Reserve Bank, has actually come up with this nonsense idea of bond notes. Okay, the man is supposed to come up with a plan, and he's got not much to work with. Right, okay, he's got his hands tied. He can't get much from America. He can't get much help from the United Kingdom, or like these first world countries, the Australias. He can't get help anyway. So, and he's supposed to come up with a plan to save us all. Well, what else can he do? What other plan can he do? It's just like if they say, okay, right, okay, please, if someone tells you to dig a hole right here, which is 10 foot deep, right? And do not use a pick, do not use a hoe, and do not use any machine or any those cars that dig or whatever, right? Okay, if your hands are tied and you're not allowed to use those, and you're still expected to dig a hole which is like 10 foot deep, what can you do? You end up using your hands to dig, which is ridiculous, but that's all you've got. So really, the man, I do feel sorry for John, honestly, but I'm afraid it's the worst, honestly. Any other plan, I mean, please, John Mangunjo, seriously, man, this is the worst plan I've ever had. Okay, because why? Because now the thing is, the bond notes, they are obviously daylight robbery. Everyone knows that they're daylight robbery, and they're not going to work. They're not going to work. Like I've said, that I really believe that ZANU PF know that they're not going to be. In power in 2018, and they know that they're just doing what they have to do to survive and get to that point in 2018, where someone will win and take over, and then all this becomes their problem. What I mean? So it's just one of those things that it's really sad. It's really sad. And yeah, so the only thing, unfortunately, that will fix Zimbabwe is when if Mugabe steps down, and then another person takes over. Now we've seen in this issue with Donald Trump taking over, being elected to be president, to take over. From Barack Obama, and we all know that Donald Trump wasn't a politician. So really, you can see that any man with the right qualities, and who his heart is in the right place, can actually represent Zimbabwe, right? Okay, now not just any man, but someone who will actually lead us to the right direction. Someone who will actually say, right, you know what? Okay, America, United Kingdom, and everyone out there, who's been, who's willing to help us, we Zimbabweans, okay, I'm here to listen. Okay, Mugabe is gone. All these, he's taken all these problems, all these, nonsense ideas. They're all gone. Okay, someone who's going to actually negotiate new trade deals for Zimbabwe, clean slate. Someone who's going to take us from point A to point B. That's when, and only that's when, Zimbabwe will start being fixed, right? But the first step is Mugabe stepping down. There is no way, no other way that he can fix it. He can try to introduce bond notes and do and try to scream and go to China, change to pounds, change to rands, adopt the Chinese currency. He will do it all, but at the end of the day, he's not gonna fix anything. Okay, he's overstayed. Okay, first he was a hero, now he's a zero. Okay, when when we all after independence, we was when the country was liberated, we were head over heels, right? But now he's driven us so low that we even hope, phew, if only Smith was here, honestly, right? So yeah, those are the issues of what I think, and really, you can see even, obviously Mugabe is referring to, the people, the very people that can help, the West, and is he's making things worse. He's just making things worse, to be honest, Yeah, so yeah, I can see that Zimbabwe, this issue of bond notes, I really think that it would be the worst mistake if we take them. Our country will be worse off than it was in 2008. We're gonna be like Venezuela. What's going on in Venezuela right now? Yeah, it's heading to Venezuela. I mean, IMF even said that Zimbabwe is probably one of the countries with the worst economic situation, for a country which is not a war. Yeah, what I mean. We're not at war, but we are literally collapsed so much just because of mismanagement of resources, corruption, and I mean, my God, I mean, honestly, it's sad, to be honest. But then again, Zimbabweans are very strong people. They're very, very powerful people. I mean, we've been through all sorts. We've been victims of physical abuse. We've been through serious drought. I mean, the drought, the physical abuse, most of it is through the brutality of our own police force. It amazes me, you know. The police and the army, the personnel that are deployed to abuse us, are our fellow brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters who are also struggling and living in severe poverty, just like us. And what we when we are in the streets, demonstrating, we're fighting for a change, you know the change for Zimbabwe, right? Okay, which the change which will help them as well. But I don't understand why they have to actually inflict, brutal, force, both physically and emotionally, yet we're also fighting for them. They go on for months without being paid. And it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I think it's time for them to wake up and smell the coffee. If there's any police officer or any army official listening to this video, I mean, it's time to actually wake up and smell the coffee, because you will hit us in that way. And then when we actually go on and actually fix Zimbabwe, you're going to be celebrating with us as well. Yet you're actually on our way. I mean, I feel like it seems like, you're fighting for the wrong side here. I know that you might be, I don't know whether you've been brainwashed to think otherwise, or you're doing for the money, or I mean, honestly, I really think that sometimes you come to a point whereby you just have to actually decide, are you a citizen struggling like us? Because I don't think there's anything that me as a citizen that I'm going through that you might not be going through, apart from the fact that maybe you might be employed and I'm not. Right. I am employed, by the way, anyway. But that it's just appalling. It's not right. It's not right. Yeah. So there is quite a few issues that are going on, and obviously the government is trying to save themselves, imposing, like bans on items that you can bring, on the borders. People are trying to survive. Okay, there's not much going on, and people are actually going to buy their own stuff from abroad, trying to sell and make a living, and actually, but if you first you're giving them paper, okay, you're giving them paper money so that they cannot actually go and actually buy stuff, food from abroad, and then you, on top of that, you ban that. It's a total shutdown. Okay, what can an average person do, you know yeah, and this bonus, please, especially for the bonus, it will be the death of Zimbabwe. I cannot insist enough. No is a no. They cannot be accepted. They can, it will be accepting bonus, that will be the death of Zimbabwe. It will be, it's just gonna be filled with paper. Literally, from there will be no money. There will be no money. They will just inject this paper, take all the money, use it for trade, and when they use it for trade, the money is gone. And then a lot of companies are going to start taking their money, putting in the banks abroad. Some keeping the legitimate money in their homes, and there will be nothing. The bank, it will be a bank full of paper. And then what? Then what? Okay, we're gonna come back to the same situation where we are, but now the end result will be there will be no US dollar in the bank or in the system, and there will be just paper. And then what? And then what? Yeah. And then what? So really, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. They have to come up with another plan. I have no idea what plan it is, but really, the main one, the only way to fix it is they can come up with anything. It's not gonna work. They can come up with anything. It's not gonna work. Mugabe to step down, complete regime change, someone else to take over, who'll start afresh, clean slate, negotiate very good trade deals for us, with international intervention, serious international intervention, and that's when only, and that's when Zimbabwe will be okay again. Yeah, and to be honest, I'm telling you right now, we definitely need to actually say no to porn notes. That's number one. Number two, the only way Zimbabwe will be fixed is regime change. Mugabe has to step down. Now, when we say Mugabe has to step down, honestly, it's not as bad as it sounds. I mean, he needs a break. 92 years old, he needs to go and spend time with his family and friends. I mean, how hard can it be? Being a president is a job, right? You are elected by the people, you work, and then you retire, you go home, you relax, you go on holiday, and you chill. Yeah, let someone else take over. It's a job, right? There's no need for you to actually take over, become a hero up until you overstay and become a zero. There's no need. There's no need. I don't know why all these African politicians or presidents, to them, politics is like that. Okay, to them, politics is abusing people's human rights, is dictatorship, is rigging elections, is physical violence. Why? This is 2016. This is the problem, with the people like our president, because he has to retire and pass over, and let someone else lead, someone who's new, someone who politics change. Yeah. Okay. Now politics is run differently, right? Mugabe went to school in the 1980s, or I don't know when, right? Maybe that's how politics was, right? But now it is 2016. Okay. No one hits anyone now, right? Oh my God, I know it's third world country. Yes, we are a third world country. But come on, man, we need to learn from the best. Okay, first world countries is peaceful. Peaceful, that's how it's done now, right? But unless if someone who knows that's how it's done now, right, takes over, then it's not gonna change. He's gonna be using the same technique that you used in 1980 to take over from Smith. And oh my by God, honestly, I actually miss Ian Smith now. I mean, I wasn't even born when Ian Smith was here, to be honest. I wasn't born yet, but oh my God, I actually miss him myself, honestly. I mean, because the thing is, it comes to a point where someone has to ask themselves that, look, right, so which is best, right? Okay, which is best, being led by a white person and have everything, or being the leader of nothing yourself? Because that's what's going on right now. We have nothing, really, nothing. I mean, we've got our families, obviously we have to sleep on the queue cash machine to withdraw 50 US dollars, a day. I mean, who does that? If someone says, like, pick that and be the leader of yourself and do that, or let someone else lead, even if it's a white person, and you get the cash machine and you leave everything, you have to do that. Our fellow brothers and cousins who are actually helping us, they are all abroad, in America, in the United Kingdom, all these countries, for white people, they are the ones that are making money and sending it to Zimbabwe. So really, it comes to a point where, to be honest, right now, it doesn't really matter who leads or who was, it's just a matter of survival. It's just to make sure that what the country that we love so much, it still exists. So that so it's just one of those things that as much as bad as it sounds, it's time for the government to actually change its ways, and really, to be honest, not even change ways. It's time for the government to actually go. Life is quite hard in Zimbabwe, but then honestly, like I said before, I've got a lot of respect for the Zimbabwean people. I think it's the strongest people that I've seen, in the world. I mean, I can't believe that they are still standing, the Zimbabwean citizens. They are still there, they're fighting, but I mean, but then it comes to a point whereby, honestly, enough is enough. Is enough. Our president has to actually agree that, look, what, new trade deals are needed here. We seriously, as an underlined word, we seriously need international invention. Right now, we're actually in a position whereby we cannot choose anymore. It doesn't matter whether America, obviously, such kind of help, I don't think it will come for free. Right, okay, but unfortunately, if we want, for us to actually remain, to be in existence, just to exist in life, we need help. We need all the help that we can get. And with Mugabe, we are not going to get any help, from anyone, apart from the neighboring African countries, Southern African countries that are struggling as well. And most of the countries that are helping us are being helped by the Westerners, as our president said. So Zimbabwe has been relying a lot on China as well. Now, guess what? Okay, Donald Trump is probably going to take over, obviously, his presidential as a winner from Barack Obama, and he said that he is going to be imposing tariffs on China, definitely. So really, China is going to be struggling as well in a bit anyway. So we are next. It's just not, we can't rely on one person, or it's just, that's not how it works. Yeah. So yes, people from Zimbabwe, and we need to actually uh, um, think very hard on this. And to be honest, I really respect everyone who's going to be demonstrating tomorrow. I will try to be there myself. Yeah, to say no to bond notes, but yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is bond notes will be the end of Zimbabwe. Yeah, bonus will be the end of Zimbabwe. Yeah, as soon as we actually accept them, they're gonna be the end of Zimbabwe. As soon as they start going to into circulation, like I said, they're gonna create a massive gap into the market that is never gonna be filled anymore. Because as soon as you take out legitimate money and add papers, how on earth would you actually reverse the situation? You will then try to actually maybe legitimize that money that you actually have injected, which is moneyless anyway, right? They end up trying to change that bond note to make it in future, like 10 years from now, you know because it will be just bond note in the system, in the system rotating. They will try to change it into a Zimbabwe, to make it a Zimbabwean currency, but because of the inflation, it will end up wiping people's pensions and people's savings into non-existent. Because now, if you've got, say, 5,000 bond note in your account, and it's only bond notes, and they change it into a Zimbabwean currency, obviously, as soon as they change it into legitimate money currency in Zimbabwe, it cannot have the same value like a US dollar. It will have to actually, because of the inflation and everything, it might go up to like 1s to 1,000 to a US dollar. And really, from there, you go from having 5,000 US dollars, figuratively speaking, right, into having only $5. Five bond note is the proper currency. So it's not gonna work, and people will be robbed. People will be robbed. Yeah, so no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Short term, yes, it will work. For short term, yes, it will work. Why? Because they will inject the money which is in short supply, and then take the people's money, legitimate US dollar, which is in the bank, use it to pay the foreign debt and fund themselves, and actually maybe use it for trade for now, and then replace it with paper money. But as soon as the money goes out for trade, and companies take their money out and put it in the banks, abroad, and other people like me, keeping money, at home under my pillow, there's gonna be no money, circulating, thing. Everyone will be using bond notes, but the money, the legitimate money that they get hold of, trust me, people will keep. People will be changing each other, on the streets like we usually do, on the corners, people will be standing there with legitimate US dollars, and you have to, yes, and we resort to almost Patelene again. Yeah. So that's where it's going. That's where it's going. But either way, it's 2008 again, even worse. But then, yeah, honestly, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. But again, like I said before, I really, understand, where, John is coming from. He's really got his hands tight. But then again, maybe he should retire as well. Maybe, if he doesn't have anything, But otherwise, the government has to go, unfortunately. All right, thank you very much for listening, guys. This is my first video, and I probably wasn't done well, to be honest, and I'll try. It's not edited or anything, but I'll try to make a video one next time, so that you know who's talking. Right, okay, thank you very much, and God bless you all. Cheers, bye bye.